we are honored to have our celebrity chef, Nick Wallace, who is going to... Everyone knows that he is a key part of our renewal in downtown Jackson with his new restaurant, The Hen and Egg. And so he's going to tell us a little bit about what we can expect in those trays back there that our mouths are all watering for. So I'm going to turn it over to Chef Wallace.
Hello, everyone. Well, thank y'all for giving us this opportunity, but definitely thanks to the Evers family. Marina gave me a call, and the first thing I said is, I need to know more about your family. Like, tell me what y'all like to eat. But thank y'all very much. Rena, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for letting me do the Mississippi mud cookies and overnighting them. You could tell that story whenever you can, but I love this woman. I don't think I'll ever tell you no for anything. So, but thank you, and thank you to the dean, and thank you all you wonderful people, which most of y'all, we already know each other, but the ones we don't, we already know each other, okay? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Courtney Cockrell, and I am the great niece of Medgar and Myrlie Evers, and I take great pride in saying that. On behalf of the Evers family, I want to sincerely thank you all for being here today as we gather to honor the life and legacy of Medgar Wiley Evers. At this point, I would ask for any members of the Evers family to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. As a family, we would like to express our sincere and immense gratitude to the Mississippi College School of Law for this incredible and befitting honor that recognizes and celebrates Medgar Evers' great talents and his great sacrifice. Although forces beyond his control prevented him from attending law school, he worked tirelessly in pursuit of justice for others, oftentimes working alongside lawyers and strategizing with them on high-profile cases that often led to significant breakthroughs. This recognition of his contributions to the legal community is a great honor, and we look forward to celebrating the trailblazer that Medgar was, while also living up to the standard that he set.
Good morning. Excuse me. I am Corey Carter. I'm also a great niece of Medgar and Myrlie Evers. I would like to welcome you as we gather to honor his memory and recognize his accomplishments that Medgar was able to attain despite being denied admission to the University of Mississippi School of Law in 1954. Today, the Mississippi College School of Law rights a 72-year wrong by awarding Medgar Evers with an honorary posthumous Doctorate of Laws degree. The Evers family would like to express our sincerest gratitude to the Mississippi College President, Blake Thompson, Dean of the Mississippi School of Law, John Anderson, and to all faculty, staff, and students who have made this vision a reality. We invite you to listen to this panel of esteemed members of the Mississippi legal community as they share how Medgar Evers' life and legacy shaped them and paved the way for them to excel in the field of law. Thank you for being here and joining us today. We will now hear from Reverend Dr. C.J. Rhodes as he brings the invocation, and followed by the invocation, you will be able to start lunch at the back in the serving line. Thank you.
Let us pray. God of our weary years and God of our silent tears, how grateful we are to you for another day and for the life and legacy and leadership of Brother Medgar. We thank you for his sacrifice and for his profound dream for the state of Mississippi and the nation that he loved. We honor you, O God, for the ways in which he led as a general in the Mississippi Civil Rights Movement, an organizer, strategist, but not only that, as a husband, a father, an uncle, a friend, a Mississippian. How we thank you for Mississippi College School of Law, for this momentous occasion where Through them, the state of Mississippi recognizes what it did not recognize 72 years ago. We thank you for the bestowal of this honor and this degree, for his family that continues his legacy, and for all of us freedom fighters and lovers of justice. We pray that your spirit will be among us and with us as we journey throughout this program. Bless all who participate in it, especially this panel of those who extended that generational leadership of Brother Medgar in their own legal careers. We thank you that their minds are still stayed on freedom, especially as we face, if you will, the third reconstruction and redemption moment in this state and this nation. Would you inspire us by your spirit to rise up in this moment with the courage and the character that Brother Medgar did so many years ago, so that we can not only protect what we have fought so desperately for, but to extend a better future to all Mississippians, regardless of race or class. Bless also this food and our fellowship for your glory and our good. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
All right, I'm going to call us to order while some of our amazing law students finish going through the line back there. I will join you in just a few moments as soon as I step off this stage. I'm Blake Thompson. I am the president of MC, and I'm so proud and thankful to welcome all of you to the MC College School of Law. This is a special year for us. Some of you may not know we are celebrating our bicentennial. We are 200 years old, 1826 to 2026. We were actually chartered by the state of Mississippi in 1826 as the first public institution. And then at some point they handed us off to the Presbyterians, to the Methodists, and then to the Baptists. And we have been a private institution under the governance of Mississippi Baptists for 175 years. So a lot of history, a lot of celebration for us to do over the course of this year. We started in January with a birthday party on our campus. And the students planned it, and the ice storm delayed it. And I'm glad, because the students had planned a 75-foot tall Ferris wheel that was going to come on the back of an 18-wheeler truck and park in the middle of our beautiful quad. And when we had to postpone it, the Ferris wheel operator said, "I'm unable to come. I'm booked for the rest of the year. You'll just have to do it without me." And my physical plant people said, "Amen," and thank you. That's kicked off our celebration. We will continue celebrations through this year. We'll have a gala in the fall that we will really will kind of be the capstone celebration of our 200 years worth of work here in Mississippi. I'm proud of it. I'm thankful for it. We've also been celebrating 50 years as a law school. This law school is performing in a remarkable way. 50 years of hard work and dedication has led us to a place where we can all be incredibly proud of this law school. We have, in fact, the dean will probably share some of the things that he'll brag about from a output perspective of our law students and their bar passage rates and all the good work that they're doing and all the federal clerkships that they go to do. What I'll take one moment and brag on is this beautiful renovation that you're sitting in today. We are in the final stages of a complete renovation of this law school, $12 to $13 million investment, and an investment that we purposefully made here in downtown Jackson. And I'm proud of that. And we have a role to play, not only in Jackson, but in the state and in our country. And I'm thankful that we're doing that. Some of what we're doing today, some of the celebrating that we're doing today, is us playing a role in helping to lead into the future. And I've been talking a lot over the last several months about looking forward to the next 200 years of our institution and looking forward to the next 50 years of this law school's existence as well. And I can't think of anything better to do than the celebration that we have today as a part of that looking forward. So with that, let me thank you for being here. Let me thank the deans who have led this school. Some of them are retired and getting second helpings of food as we speak. Pat Bennett, I don't know where Pat went to. We all stand on her shoulders. She was the dean of law school when I got here, and I'm incredibly grateful for her work. And then John Anderson is simply the latest in a long line of leadership at this institution. I'm thankful for all of them, and I'm thankful John will continue to brag a little bit about this school for a couple of minutes before we move to our program. John, I know you've got a lot of people you want to thank. I wanted to thank you for being here. Panelists, now is my time to go back to the buffet line. I hope you'll get to enjoy as well. Thank you for being here, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. So if the president says I need to brag a little bit, I will brag just on a few things. I think arguably we're completing now probably the most successful year in this law school's history if you measure success in terms of admissions, in terms of bar passage, and in terms of employment success. We brought in a class with the highest median LSAT we've ever had here at the law school, and we budgeted for a class of 125 and brought in 179. And so that we had an over-acceptance problem, a demand problem, and that's a good thing. We also had an 89% bar pass rate for our July administration for our 2025 graduates. And that is, again, that just speaks to how excellent our faculty and academic support team is. And then, of course, our career services team, Dean Ellen Robb, helped us accomplish a 94% of that class 10 months after graduation, which is the ABA measuring point, had secured employment. And that is what we're looking for, right? That is success. So we are grateful for that. And we are grateful in this 50th anniversary year of our law school to be able to be part of this historic moment. And I just want to begin by emphasizing how humbled and honored we are at MC Law for this opportunity to celebrate the legacy of Medgar Wiley Evers. Medgar Evers' work and sacrifice in support of freedom and equality for all Mississippians, and indeed all Americans, has made him one of our nation's most important historical figures. I've always been familiar with Medgar Evers' passion for justice, but it wasn't until recently, and Chris Daniel, I received a text about a year and a half ago telling me the story about how Medgar had always wanted to go to law school and was denied that opportunity on a technicality. And then from that moment forward, it launched his career in the civil rights movement. And we all know that story, right? That the work that he did, how he laid the foundation for so much that would be accomplished in the courtrooms in the years to come. And in hearing that story, that began a process that is leading us here to today and to tomorrow. So learning about Medgar's passion for justice, and now understanding also his longstanding desire to go to law school and be a lawyer, this esteemed panel here today is going to share with us a little bit more about that impact, about the historical impact of Medgar Wiley Evers, but also his impact specifically on the law, though he never had a law degree, and how he affected and impacted our constitutional order. I'm so excited to hear about that more today. And then, of course, we have a celebration tonight, but then tomorrow this culminates with the opportunity to honor Medgar Wiley Evers with a posthumous awarding of a Doctor of Laws to correct an error of history. And we are so humbled by that, so honored by that, and so honored that from this day forward, MC Law's name will be associated with his. And so thank you, Rena. Thank you for the entire Evers family for making this happen. It is so special to us. So with that, I'm going to ask Judge Graves to come up and offer the occasion. But thank you so much.
Good afternoon again. I am not Judge Graves. However, I have been given the esteemed honor of introducing him. Judge James E. Graves, Jr. was nominated by President Barack Obama on June 10, 2010, to the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. His nomination was unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate on February 14, 2011. Upon nominating Judge Graves, President Obama said, "Throughout his career, James E. Graves has shown an unwavering integrity and an outstanding commitment to public service." Judge Graves was born in Clinton, Mississippi, and earned his BA in sociology at Millsaps College. He worked in Mississippi's Department of Public Welfare for 2 years before beginning law school. He then earned his law degree as well as his master's degree in public administration at Syracuse University. Upon graduation from law school, Judge Graves worked as a staff attorney with Central Mississippi Legal Services. He engaged in private practice in Jackson for 3 years before joining the Mississippi Attorney General's office. He later served as the head of Human Services Division with the AG's office. He then joined the Mississippi Department of Human Services, where he was the director of the Division of Child Support Enforcement. In 1991, Judge Graves was appointed as circuit judge in Hinds County, where he served for 10 years. In 2001, he was appointed to the Mississippi Supreme Court. He was elected to continue on the court in 2004. He served as presiding justice from 2009 to 2011 when he joined the Fifth Circuit. Judge Graves has served as adjunct professor at Jackson State University, Millsaps College, and Tougaloo College. He has also been a teaching member of Harvard Law School's Trial Advocacy Workshop. As the first African American from Mississippi to serve on the Fifth Circuit, Judge Graves was awarded the Mississippi Trailblazer of the Decade Award, an award that recognizes Mississippians who have shown a commitment to racial, cultural, and gender diversity, as well as those who have presented Mississippi in a positive light. Judge Graves was awarded the 2011 FBI Director's Community Leadership Award in recognition of his deep commitment to Mississippi youth. Other organizations have also acknowledged Judge Graves' work with youth. In 2009, he was awarded the Maxwell Public Administration Award by Syracuse University's Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. Millsaps College awarded him the Livesey Award in 2004. He was also awarded the Humanized Award for Education in 2002 by the Mississippi Association of Educators. He was the Jackson Public School District's 2001 Parent of the Year and first alternate to Mississippi's Parent of the Year in that same year. In 1991, he was named Champion Adopter by Lake Elementary School's Boys for a Brighter Tomorrow program in honor of his mentor. Judge Graves has 3 sons, all of whom are attorneys. He and his wife, Dr. Betty Ramsey Graves, are active members of New Heights Seventh-day Adventist Church in Jackson, Mississippi. Please join me in welcoming Judge James E. Graves.
I want to thank Attorney Cockrell for that introduction, which felt so long to me, probably to you as well. But I thank you so much for that introduction to President Thompson, to Dean Anderson, to Dean Emeritus Bennett, to Rena Evers, and all the members of the Evers family. I am deeply honored to have an opportunity to be a participant on a program that honors Medgar Evers. My assignment today is to deliver, explain, talk about what the occasion is. And I recognize that this is not an assignment to deliver a keynote address. So I will endeavor to be brief, but it is difficult to be brief when talking about a man who, in his 37 years on this earth, did so much for so many with so little. It was almost 20 years ago when a marker was erected at the courthouse in Newton County, Decatur, Mississippi. A marker was erected in honor of Medgar Evers. And I was fortunate to do the keynote address on that occasion. I talked about at that time a quote from a book by Ms. Myrlie Evers called For Us, the Living. And I highly recommend that book to you. But Ms. Evers recounted in that book that Medgar Evers was interviewed by a reporter. And these were his words. He said, "It may sound funny, but I love the South. I don't choose to live anywhere else. There's land here where a man can raise cattle, and I'm going to do that someday. There are lakes where a man can sink a hook and fight fish. And I know that feeling, that's a good feeling." He said, "There is room here for my children to play and to grow and become good citizens if the white man will let them." There are so many messages in those few words. First of all, Medgar Evers was a well-educated man who could have chosen to live someplace else, but he chose to live in Mississippi. And he did it because he saw, amidst all of the oppression and injustice, he saw what Mississippi could be. And he sacrificed in order to make a difference so that Mississippi could become what he knew it could be. And he did what I call, he did not allow his view to block his vision. Your view is what you see. It's what you perceive. It's what's right in front of you. And so he saw a Mississippi, oppressed people, poor people, people who were discriminated against. He saw how horrible that situation was. That was the view. But he had a vision of what Mississippi could be. And so at least one of the lessons from that is that we should never allow our view to block our vision. And I want to put his accomplishments in some historical context, because I think there are a few people who would dispute that the Civil Rights Movement was born December 1st, 1955 in Alabama when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on that bus. But I always say while the Civil Rights Movement may have been born in Alabama, it was raised in Mississippi. It was July 2nd. Now remember I just said 1955, Rosa Parks on the back of the bus, but it was July 2nd, 1946, when Medgar Evers and his brother Charles and a few others went to the Newton County Courthouse in an attempt to register to vote. So while the Civil Rights Movement may have been born in Alabama, the gestation period began well before that in Mississippi. And the forefathers of the movement were providing prenatal care in Mississippi. And Medgar Evers was one of those forefathers. So tomorrow's awarding of a degree to Medgar Wiley Evers is just one giant step towards righting a wrong which was committed when Medgar Wiley Evers, and it will be Esquire as of tomorrow, when Medgar Wiley Evers Esquire was denied admission to the University of Mississippi School of Law simply because of the color of his skin. And so on this occasion, the Mississippi College School of Law will award a Juris Doctorate degree to a man who, without a law degree, fought for justice in the dark of night and in the light of day. A man who, without a law degree, was an advocate for oppressed people everywhere. A man who, without a law degree, represented the interest of the poor, the disenfranchised, and the dispossessed. His lived experience was the educational, practical, and real-world equivalent of any summa cum laude law review editor graduate of any law school in the United States of America. He earned this honor. And so I want to commend the Mississippi College School of Law and all who are responsible for looking around and saying, it's about time, and then doing the right thing, recognizing a man who led, joined, encouraged, and inspired so many people over the course of what was a very short lifetime. And so I hope that in some small way, I've hoped to give some context to what today's and tomorrow's occasion is. And as they say in the Baptist church, this, ladies and gentlemen, is your occasion.
Hello, I am Attorney Vangela M. Wade, and I am one of your moderators for this esteemed panel. I am a graduate of the University of Mississippi School of Law, some 30 years now, and I am honored to say that over the 30 years, most, if not all, of these panelists, as well as Judge Graves, have touched my legal career and personal life in some way. So I am honored to be here, as well as to be here on this grand occasion with the Evers family. So without further ado, and I see my former staff at Mississippi Center for Justice wondering if I was going to say that I'm formerly President and CEO of the Mississippi Center for Justice. And I will say I'm glad to see them here too, as well as the current and wonderful, excellent current President and CEO, Kimberly Jones Merchant. So without further ado, I will proceed with introducing two of the panelists and followed by my co-moderator. First, Judge Carlton W. Reeves. United States District Judge Carlton W. Reeves, a native of Yazoo, Mississippi, nominated by President Barack Obama, assumed office December 30th, 2010. He graduated from the University of Virginia School of Law in 1989 and received his BA magna cum laude from Jackson State University in 1986. Judge Reeves was previously a partner at Pygott Reeves Johnson and Minor, PA, chief of the Civil Division for the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Mississippi, an associate of Phelps Dunbar, LLP, and a staff attorney for the Supreme Court of Mississippi. He began his legal career as a law clerk for Mississippi's first African American on the Mississippi Supreme Court, Justice Reuben V. Anderson. In 2022, President Joe Biden, appointed Judge Reeves as chair of the United States Sentencing Commission. The commission establishes sentencing policies and practices for the federal courts, including guidelines to be consulted regarding the appropriate form and severity of punishment for offenders convicted of federal crimes. Judge Reeves is a former president of the Magnolia Bar Association and Magnolia Bar Foundation. He has received many honors, including the Magnolia Bar's highest honor, the R. Jess Brown Award, the Mississippi Bar's Curtis E. Coker Access to Justice Award, Mississippi State University's Department of Political Science and Public Administration and the Pre-Law Society's Distinguished Jurist Award in 2016. Judge Reeves was awarded the Thomas Jefferson Foundation Medal in Law, the highest external honor bestowed by the University of Virginia, and he received an honorary degree, a Doctor of Humane Letters from Hunter College. Judge Reeves and his late wife, Laura M. Reeves, have one daughter, Shonda. Judge Carlton W. Reeves. Our next panelist, and one of my longtime mentors and close friends, Attorney Constance Slaughter Harvey. Attorney Constance Slaughter Harvey is a foundational figure in Mississippi's legal landscape whose remarkable accomplishments are so vast that it was a challenge to select only a few to highlight for this occasion. I can hear her saying, I'm going to get a whooping when this is over. In 1970, she became the first African-American woman to receive a law degree from the University of Mississippi School of Law. And in 1976, she made history as the first African-American woman to serve as a judge in the state. Currently, she serves, supposedly in retirement, as founder and president of the Legacy Education and Community Empowerment Foundation in Forest, Mississippi. Her career is marked by excellence at the highest level of public service and administrative leadership. She served as the Assistant Secretary of State and General Counsel for Mississippi. She was instrumental in election reform and the management of public land trusts. Her commitment to equal justice, to equal access to justice, is further reflected in her time as a staff attorney for the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under the law, and her leadership as director of East Mississippi Legal Services. As a litigator, Attorney Slaughter Harvey led some of the most consequential civil rights battles in Mississippi's history, including the landmark Morrow versus Chrysler, which desegregated the Mississippi Highway Safety Patrol, and co-counsel Ayers v. Fordyce case for HBCU funding equity in this state. Her work also reached into systemic prison reform at Parchman Farms in Gates v. Collier. Beyond the courtroom, she joined Congressman Shirley Chisholm and Gloria Steinem in organizing the Women's Action Alliance. A dedicated educator, she served as an adjunct professor at Tougaloo College for 35 years, where she is now honored by the Constance Slaughter Harvey Endowed Chair in Political Science and Pre-Law. Her name also is the name that has been awarded or given to the Black Law Students Association at the University of Mississippi. It bears her name. An accomplished author and columnist, she is the mother of Dr. Constance Olivia Slaughter Harvey Burwell and the proud grandmother of James Trey Burwell III. Attorney Constance Slaughter Harvey.
Good afternoon. My name is Alvino Castillo. I'm a native of Madison County, Mississippi, and Millsaps College graduate, where I received my BA and MBA there, and attended law school at the University of Virginia. I've spent my career at sort of at the intersection of law and public service and tax, among other things, and I have been a lawyer a partner at the Watkins Ludlam Winter and Stennis law firm, and most recently a partner at Butler Snow. But when I look back, all of those experiences have been great, but none of them mean more than the opportunity to be here today to help honor a man that made so many sacrifices that we are all aware of, and who was denied the opportunities that I've been able to enjoy. I have had the opportunity to represent and serve on a number of civic, community, and nonprofit organizations, most or many of which have had strong civil rights or economic equity missions. So that's been something that I've had a passion for. Probably the reason that I've been asked to serve as co-moderator is I'm honored also to serve as a board member and treasurer of the Medgar and Myrlie Evers Institute, and an organization that Mrs. Evers established to preserve, honor, and continue to grow the legacy of her late husband. And a highlight of my life really was the time that Mrs. Evers personally asked me to join the board, and I've never forgot that. Those who know me know that I loudly and often proclaim that Medgar Evers is, I think, underappreciated, at least when you talk about a national publicity basis. When you talk about boots on the ground, foot soldier who was driving the back roads and doing the investigations and all those things that we'll probably talk about some more, he did that. And so he deserves all the recognition that we can give him for that work. But we don't want to just focus on the driveway. We need to talk about the 11 years that he spent doing those things that I just mentioned. So with that, let me get about the business of introducing the next two panelists. First, Attorney Carol Rhodes. And it was a challenge, as Evangelist said, trying to narrow down some of these introductions, but I finally landed on the place that, hey, I need to just say what needs to be said. So Attorney Rhodes has spent the last 46 years doing the work that Medgar Evers began, fighting for the right of every Mississippian to have their vote counted and their voice heard. Attorney Rhodes is a civil rights and voting rights attorney, a graduate of Millsaps College, and actually Judge Graves and I were there kind of at the same time. He was a little ahead of us. And the University of Mississippi School of Law, and a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. He serves as general counsel for the Mississippi State Conference of the NAACP and as a legal consultant to the NAACP's Office of General Counsel nationally. He's carrying forward the very organization that Medgar Evers served as Mississippi's first field secretary. Over his distinguished career, Attorney Rhodes has been lead or co-counsel in hundreds of voting rights cases at every level of Mississippi government. His landmark redistricting cases have fundamentally reshaped the face of power in this state. As a lead attorney in Kirksey v. Elaine and Martin v. Elaine, which were the first successful voting rights cases challenging judicial election districts, he helped secure the creation of 5 new majority black single-member districts, which resulted in the election of 5 African-American state trial court judges in a single election in 1989. He also worked on cases that doubled the number of African-American legislative districts in the state from a handful to more than 50. He's a scholar of the law that he practices. He has authored 3 law journal articles examining the enforcement and erosion of voting rights, including an article on how federal appellate courts have pushed back against state voter suppression laws. He's also written a book calling, and I found this interesting, for the expansion of the U.S. Supreme Court from 9 to 15 justices, a timely discussion. That's a provocative and timely contribution to one of the most important constitutional debates of our time. Finally, he is a recipient of the ABA's, American Bar Association's John Minor Wisdom Professionalism and Public Service Award, the National Bar Association's Presidential Unsung Hero Award, and multiple Lawyer of the Year honors from the Mississippi State Conference of the NAACP, among others. Attorney Carol Rhodes. Our final panelist has a unique connection to Medgar Evers that is not merely historical, it is geographical, if you will. Attorney Dennis Sweet was born and raised in Jackson, just doors down from the Evers family. So he didn't just study Medgar Evers' legacy, he really grew up in the shadow. Attorney Sweet earned his undergraduate degree from Tougaloo College and his law degree from the National Law Center at George Washington University. He started his career as a public defender in Washington, D.C., then moved to the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery, Alabama, where he was involved in lawsuits against the KKK, challenged discriminatory police policies, and defended victims of voter fraud prosecutions. He then came back to Mississippi, where he spent decades doing exactly what Medgar Evers believed the law should do, giving voice to those who needed to be heard. He also has a remarkable record as a plaintiff's law attorney. He has taken on the United States Department of Agriculture and proved its systematic discrimination against black farmers. He has handled diet drug fen-phen cases where makers of those drugs were held accountable for their disregard for consumer safety. And those cases garnered, of course, national attention. He's handled many wrongful death lawsuits, and one of the most recent cases also that is noteworthy here locally, he fought for the Robinson Wade family, where there was a story of police brutality, bureaucratic indifference, and an unmarked grave situation which shocked the conscience of this state and the nation. So beyond the courtroom, Attorney Sweet served in the Mississippi House of Representatives and as a trustee of Tougaloo College, where he donated and generated significant funds for campus facilities and athletic programs. He's been featured in a number of national publications, Black Enterprise, Harper's Magazine, the National Law Journal, and on Court TV, Dateline NBC, and the Discovery Channel. So, Medgar Evers believed that economic justice and racial justice were inseparable, and that the law in the right hands was the most powerful instrument available to the powerless. Attorney Sweet has spent his entire career proving him right on those scores. So let's welcome Attorney Dennis Sweet. So we have, as you can see, a great panel. Judge Graves has powerfully set the occasion for us, and so now we'll dig a little deeper. But first, as sort of an icebreaker question, this will be for the entire panel, and we'd like to hear sort of each of you respond. Judge Graves sort of touched on this notion, but in 1958, Medgar Evers wrote an essay, an article in Ebony magazine where he explained why he chose to remain in, at that time, the most dangerous state in America. He loved Mississippi and he believed it was worth fighting for. So I'd like to pose this question to the panel. Given what each of you have witnessed in your own careers, what has kept you committed to justice in Mississippi? I'll start with the beautiful woman. Yeah. Ladies first. Yeah. Where each of you could have gone anywhere, done anything. What has kept you committed to staying here? And
I'm not shocked that you passed the vote because all of them would probably do it. Sometimes I ask myself that same question. And I'm not really certain that I can use one word to explain why I'm here, other than the fact that it's my home. My parents worked, my grandparents worked, so I have as much right to be here as anybody else. I love the weather, and like Matt just said, I love the running out in the woods, I love the flowers, I love Mississippi, the land.
Can I be a little bit longer? I'm going to short everything else. This is my first time to really address Rena publicly and the Evers family publicly. When they killed your father, he left a hole in our community. We were just kids. You remember, our community were patriots. That neighborhood over there was built by veterans. Black people couldn't really get mortgages. And the GI Bill funded a way for them to get homes for us. Her daddy, my daddy, everybody on that street had fought in the war. They were patriots. When that man shot her father, it left a real hole. When we came back and you all had to leave, and we knew you all had to leave, I used to pull pigtails, and it was really hard on all of us. I'm speaking for all the kids over there. Zach Harmon, the Pittmans, and all of us. It was really hard on us. Her father came in, your Uncle Charlie. He told all he was our Uncle Charlie. And he tried to soften the blow from the terrorist act that had happened in our community to took one of our favorite fathers over there. He threw the football with my dad. They walked the street to make sure they went fishing. And he came in to soften the blow because it was a terrorist act. We were just kids. So through my career, you know, your father inspired me. My mother, for all those people did over there. They were hard workers. They had served their country. So when I went off to law school, I became a public defender for D.C. I never planned to leave. Morris Dees recruited me to come back. I was the first African-American lawyer to sell. So something was just drawing me back south. I think it was your father's, that all of us come in and contribute. And so I made it back to Alabama. I didn't do any plaintiff's law. That kid who was lynched, I filed that Donald case, I filed that. I did those voting fraud cases, I defended those. I did nothing but civil rights for those years. And I just feel like I need to get home. So I came home. I did capital murder cases, I did all those things. So I did a black farmers. You know, your daddy was so, I read, he was so big about black farmers in the land. I ended up being co-counsel, lead counsel on the Pickler case. I was just drawn that way from the people, from our experience as kids. So I want to thank you all for the time your dad gave us and the time your dad gave us. It meant so much and inspired me. I want you to know that. And I think I speak for all those kids over there. Zach, Ted, all of us. If you look on that children's thing or book, you see us. And we used to ride to school with you, Christ the King, Catholic school. So I have a little tears, but I have never had an opportunity to publicly tell you how much your father meant to all of us over there. and how much your father meant to all of us over there. And thank you for the opportunity to let me come up here and speak, all right?
Well, my story is a little different. I grew up in a family where my mother and father admired Medgar for his bravery. When I was 5 years old, I knew I was supposed to be a lawyer. That was a calling. And I'm a little different. I saw injustice, and I wanted to escape it. I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave Mississippi. But my father told me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to be a civil rights lawyer. I want to fight for the rights of my people." My father said, "Where you want to do it?" California was appealing to me. I wanted to get out of Mississippi. And my father said something to me that stuck with me, that messed me up for life. He said, "You can't clean nobody else's backyard until you clean your own. You got to start here in Mississippi." That's why I'm here now.
At 62 years old, I'm the youngest person on this panel. I've been inspired by each of these individuals throughout my career. And so I did not have the pleasure of ever meeting Myrlie Evers in person, seeing him in real time, none of that. All of my stories about him or what others have written about and said him. And Alvino mentioned the Ebony magazine article, and I have a quote here, and it's so befitting of this. "Mississippi is home. It is part of the United States. And whether whites like it or not, I don't plan to live here as a parasite. The things that I don't like, I will try to change." So this kid from Yazoo City, Mississippi, went up to, always wanted to be a lawyer since loved the political conventions that used to be on television all day long on those 3 networks and stuff during the summers. I remember watching the Watergate hearings, things like that, knowing that I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I go off to a law school on the East Coast, University of Virginia. Get up there, walk around on the campus for the first time, and see a statue of Stonewall Jackson. And I said, "Damn, I'm at home." That's what I said. But I knew the Confederacy, the Capitol was up there, but we had Jefferson Davis here, Beauvoir down there on the coast. We had that. I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer. And that my goal was, because like Connie Hart, Constance Slaughter Hart, I love Mississippi. You will never find anyone that ever says Carlton Reeves doesn't like his state. This state belongs to me. And that's how I feel about it. So I am committed and have always been committed to make this state the state that I want her to be, because she represents me. I have every right to make her respect me, to make her be the Mississippi that she ought to be. And that's why I came back. And so, like Medgar Evers said, again, as you can see, I do not plan to leave Mississippi. I'm anchoring myself here for better or for worse. I hope for better, but if worse comes, I'm going to be right here in the middle of it.
Thank you, Judge Reeves. That impassioned declaration of your dedication and love for Mississippi, I appreciate that. When I left Mississippi in 1980s, I had not planned to come back, but I did come back to go to law school, and then came here in Jackson, and this is where myself and my family's been basically ever since. So there's something about this state, regardless of its history or its current practices, that draws you. And I think it's what Connie says. This is our home. This is our home. But I have a question for you, Judge Reeves. From Yazoo City to the federal bench, the roadmap of your life was paved by legal victories that Medgar Wiley Evers did not live to see. As a child yourself, a child of the case Alexander v. Holmes, you were among the first generation of Mississippians to attend integrated public schools from start to finish. You beat me. Or I beat you a little few years earlier. I didn't get that full, from Alpha Omega. So my question to you, in the spirit of our time today, of this discussion, how did that lived experience shape your early understanding of the law's power to fundamentally rewrite a person's future?
Yes, the backstory is Alexander versus Holmes. It is what I call Brown 3. Brown 1, Brown 2 being all deliberate speed, and a lawsuit filed by some parents up in Holmes County and throughout. The Singleton case was part of it here in Jackson. Because in 1954 in Yazoo City, a group of parents got together and they signed a petition. And they went to the local school board and they said, when are y'all going to implement Brown? Please implement Brown. The white folk in Yazoo City learned about, they knew, they saw the petition. So what they did was they put each of the names on a sheet of paper. These black folk, maids, some of them plumbers, business owners, and others. Each of their names, they put it in the Yazoo Herald. They put the pictures, they put the names of these people all throughout downtown, the businesses, and even out in the cotton fields. And they told people around town that these are the people who want their kids to go to school with our kids. This is 1954. Brown was not implemented in Mississippi until this Alexander versus Holmes case, 1969, November. And so when the kids who were in school, in public school in 1969, went home for the Christmas break, they came back. And they came to an integrated environment. My class was the fall of 1970, Annie Ellis Elementary. It was the first time black and white students across Mississippi started out in the first grade together. And right then, we as children knew that there was no difference. The white kids were as smart as those black kids who came in there that day. And they remained friends and they did things together. And the white kids struggled with learning how to do fractions. The white kids learned how to subjugate verbs and sentences. They had the same struggles. There was no difference. And so for 12 years, I've always been amongst white students, white parents, white kids, but I've also been around black students, black parents, and black kids. But all of that is only because of what Medgar Evers was doing in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. What people were doing, trying to get equality, trying to make sure that everybody was treated alike. And we're still struggling.
Thank you.
I have a question for Attorney Constance Slaughter Harvey. You met Medgar Evers when you were young, and then you actually graduated from University of Mississippi Law School just 7 years after his death. Can you just talk about a little bit about your experience in meeting him, and also when you went to the same law school where he was denied entrance, did that have, what did you feel when you walked through the doors and ultimately graduated? Can you just kind of talk about that whole range of emotions, if you will, and the experience of having the chance to meet Mr. Evers?
I'm not going to get emotional, but I'm going to be realistic. I was raised in a home where racism was understood. I was one of 6 girls who had a father who had lost his hand, his left hand, in the service. And on his way home, he was threatened with the hatchet to get up out of his seat, which was the second seat on the bus, and go to the back. And those who had the good fortune, as I say it, to know my daddy, he was not an aggressive individual, but he was aggressive that day. And it took my mother, who was a short, pleasant Christian woman, to calm him down. Daddy never forgot that, and neither did I. My daddy despised injustice. It would eat at him to see anybody mistreated. But he always told us one thing: treat everybody like you want to be treated. And that was hard for me to digest because nobody from a different area treated me like I wanted to be treated. My daddy paid his poll taxes in 1953 in Lauderdale County. And still he had problems voting in Scott County. I followed my daddy's footsteps with my admiration and love and respect for Medgar. When we would hear about positions that Medgar took to the Clarion Ledgers in the paper, my daddy was so happy. He was Medgar's #1 fan. I think I've mentioned that to you before, man. Every time Medgar's name was mentioned, my daddy had hope in his face. And Dean Bennett remembers my daddy. In May of 1963, I was a senior and had just graduated from high school. And the impossible happened on the 20th of May. We were sitting watching television, Of course, it was a black and white TV. And this man came on television. And as I've told you many times before, your daddy was fine. Your daddy was good looking. And your daddy was unafraid. When he spoke, it was just like electricity running through my body. I had never seen a black man stand up and challenge a system. And I can almost get that feeling now. You know, we had been used to seeing Amos and Andy and somebody scratching their head and somebody made doing this, but never once seen a black man so articulate to stand up and challenge the system. That was the first time I realized speaking truth to power. And it was in speaking truth to power that he was murdered. How dare you question our way of life? How dare you challenge a man who did not deserve to live? I say it publicly. Alan Thompson, who was a mayor of Jackson, who had Thompson's tank named after him, who took delight in killing young black people, particularly black men. I've got that off of my chest, so let me move on. When I came to Tougaloo the next month, which is June of 1963, I came because I was going to be a doctor. Didn't realize I had to see blood, but that was a different subject. And one night they called and told us that we had to get ready the next morning, so we had to go to bed, stop playing cards and go to bed. That Medgar Evers was coming to Tougaloo. I don't know whether I slept or not. Just so excited. A man who would come to Tougaloo. When he came, all the women there, we went crazy. Carolyn Anderson, Carolyn Hayes, I mean, we went crazy. The beautiful part about it, though, was what he said took precedent over his looks. I mean, we had our mouths open. And one thing I will always remember, when he said, if you want to get respect and be treated like you were somebody, you must register. That stuck with me and still sticks with me now. When you are no longer registered and when you no longer vote, you don't matter. And tell me the White House is not saying that now. If you don't register and you don't vote, you don't exist. That stuck with me. We listened, we heard him. He walked around. He kept our attention by walking around. And you talk about Obama having a swagger. I could swear Obama got it from Medgar. He was so cool, but he was so real, and his message was one that we could identify with. So we were ready to go. Whatever he said do, we were ready to do. I told Myrlie he was a Pied Piper. We would have followed him anyway, especially because his message was so real. But 6 days later, I turned 17 a week later. 6 days later, the chapel bell was just ringing. And when the Tougaloo chapel bell rang, you knew something was happening. And we jumped up, we ran and seeing what, they told us that he had been killed, murdered, assassinated I think it was one of the darkest days of my life. And it made me realize that his dream will die unless we take it up. Several weeks later, I let them know John Garner, who recently passed, and Dr. Brady, that I would complete the pre-science program, but I would be going into pre-law. And I owe it to your daddy. I never wanted to be a lawyer. Y'all talking about you wanted to be a lawyer. I never wanted to be a lawyer. But I felt that I had no choice. And to this day, until I retired, everything I did was a result of what Medgar had challenged us to do. I went to law school. When I walked down the halls of the law school, I thought of Medgar. And fortunately now they have a whole section honoring your daddy. That experience was one that I would not want to relive, but one that I think had to be lived. When I got out of law school, well, I called on God twice while I was there. And one was, Lord, if you let me out of this school without killing somebody. And I'm telling you the truth, people would tell you I said that. I would go back to Tougaloo College and teach pre-law students what to expect at the University of Mississippi School of Law. And I did it. Living witness right here. Glenda Haynes, several other law students, pre-law students. I say that to say that when a person touches your soul, they control your life. And your daddy touched my soul. The cases that I tried, I wanted to make this state, my state, better. And I think I did. But after I stopped practicing law for a while and went into state government, your daddy's spirit took more control over me. When I became Assistant Secretary of State for elections, Dick Marpus would tell you right now, your daddy's name came up quite often. And it was to make certain that a person who wanted to register could register without unnecessary interference. And we got rid of having to register in two places, dual registration as we called it. If you wanted to register to vote in the county election, you could go to one place. When your daddy was living, we had to go to the courthouse and to City Hall. We got rid of that. We got rid of paper ballots. We worked to get rid of paper ballots. Nobody knew the relationship that I had with Carol Rhodes. Carol would file the lawsuits, and he would sue Secretary of State Marpus and Secretary of State Mavis. And then we would say, well, you know, what's the issue? Because right is right. And some of the people would have to fight it, but we managed to accomplish everything that your dad mentioned to us as being a negative, an impediment to voting. So I say that your daddy was very important. And I thank God that he influenced my life. But I'm so sad to see what's happening now. And I tell young people like my grandson, we think this world is shady now. We've been through shady governments. We've been through that. And all we have to do is continue to fight. We went through Bilbo. You know, we went through people being able to say nigger on the streets. when they were running for office. We've been through that. We are prepared to run the full race. And we need to make certain our children understand that what we went through, if we went through it, you can go through it too. If our grandparents survived rape, lynching, and still rose to be president of the United States, we can do it. Your daddy planted that seed, and he will always be the first man I ever met who spoke truth to power. Plus, he was good looking.
We can't forget that part. I'd like to direct this question to Attorney Carol Rhodes. Attorney Rhodes, like Medgar Evers, you are a veteran of the United States Armed Forces, having served in the Air Force, I believe. Medgar Evers' sense of justice was forged in his service during World War II, where he fought for democracy that he couldn't fully access at home. The question to you today is, how did your own military service, followed by your education at Millsaps and University of Mississippi Law in the 70s, solidify your resolve to use the law as your primary theater of operations for civil rights? We understand that you didn't plan to stay and do that in Mississippi. You were going west. Go west, young man. But now that you've been in Mississippi, I'm sure you can, your thoughts can harken back to what your original plans were and how you've done that, implemented that, boots on the ground in this state.
Let me further explain why I didn't go west. As I said, my family was influenced by Medgar, especially my father. And I said, my father told me, you got to clean your own backyard up. That was because of the work that Medgar was doing. And Medgar wanted to stay here and fight. And my father wanted to see me stay here and fight. I was 11 years old when Medgar was assassinated. So I didn't know him. But I grew up in the country, in Copiah County, in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. And Copiah County is right next to Jefferson County. And the city of Fayette is in Jefferson County. And after Medgar was assassinated, Medgar's older brother, Charles, moved to Fayette, Mississippi, and did something that no black had done before. He was going to run to be the mayor of the town. And he was elected as the first black mayor in a biracial town in Mississippi. And so growing up on a neighboring county, as I grew up, went over to Fayette and sat at the feet of Charles Evers and heard stories from Charles about his younger brother, Medgar. And I've often said the two best non-lawyer lawyers that I've ever heard about or known were Henry Kirksey and Medgar Evers. Because Charles Evers told me, and he told me the story too about him and Medgar on the courthouse steps in the 1940s, and they were going to hear a billboard. And back then they used the N-word, threw it around often, and he said the billboard was on a stump speech and telling the folks, whatever you do, you can't give the nigger the right to vote. You see those two little nigger boys over there? You mess around and give them the right to vote. One day they're gonna grow up and be ruling you. You gotta keep that vote from them. And so he told me how Medgar even started then. So he got to go to law school and fight for the right. So as I was growing up, my father influenced me to stay because what Medgar was saying and doing. And then I had to learn from And I'm glad he told me the story about Medgar, because Charlie Evers was a criminal almost compared to his younger brother Medgar. Medgar was a good boy. Medgar was a good boy. Charles told me that himself. Charles said, I'm a crook. He said, you can't be like me, be like my younger brother. And I wound up being like his younger brother. But that influenced and shaped me and helped me to stay more so than the service, because even after service, I was going to come back. And even in service, I was interviewed by, it was a dean at Stanford Law School, Tom Myrlie. Tom Myrlie asked me, why you want to come to Stanford? I told him I wanted to be a lawyer. He said, what kind of lawyer you want to be? I told him, civil rights lawyer. He said, you come out here, you're going to wind up doing financial stuff, property stuff. You'll be a little fish in a big pond. He said, you want to do civil rights, you're from Mississippi. You need to go back there. You could do civil rights in Mississippi and be a big fish in a little pond. So I was, that part of the service sort of pushed me back to Mississippi. But it was more Charles' influence and my father's influence that had me give up on that idea about going to California years ago. So I decided to come back and fight.
I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but I do have a question. My next question is for Attorney Sweet. And now you've, as I alluded to in the introduction, you've won some landmark cases that have really fundamentally changed lives in Mississippi. Medgar Evers believed that economic justice and racial justice were really inseparable. And so I want to ask you, and so he fought for equal justice related to employment as well as at the ballot box. So I want to ask you just how do you see that connection playing out today, or how alive is that connection today, economic justice and civil justice?
I like to start with my experience. When I grew up, I was walking among men. My neighborhood had men, real men. They were tall, handsome. My dad, Mr. Evers, Mr. Quinn, all down there. We were walking among men. And when I left here, I wanted to be a man. So I became a public defender. Really, people don't know my work. I don't really ever talk about it. You know that case where that kid was lynched in Mobile and their mama excluded the claim? I filed that case. You remember those cases when Sessions indicted all those people over in Alabama voting fraud? I tried it. I was 29 years old. I was lead counsel one in Birmingham and got a not guilty. That D case down there where they put those boys in the river and lynched, I filed that case and was one of the first civil rights cases to get past the statute of limitations. I filed a case against this Klan here in Mississippi and had the statute took down. They wrote the brief about it, they didn't put me in it, I tried it. But they voted it back up in 2000, the 1994 case. All right. I made some money. Oh, the white folks ain't got over it yet. They changed the law. I tried 7 or 8 capital murder cases and nobody got the death penalty. I won. Civil rights cases. I was co-counsel in the black farmers case. That's after I made some money, I could afford to go up there and do it. And I didn't like the settlement. Go up there and look at it, Pickford. You see Dennis Sweet. I didn't like the settlement, and I had made enough money, I didn't have to get a fee. I had Charles Overtree came in with me. I said, Tree, they turning on me, baby. They turning on me. We wanted to get more cases. This is the kind of stuff I learned. That we wanted to get more money for the black agricultural schools. There were other things we wanted to do, and there was a whole segment that wanted to pay out. The payout won. And with 6% of the country with black farmers in the country, it's 1.2% today. So obviously, I was right, and Tree was right, and not to take the payout. But that's what won out, Pyries. He was the co-lead counsel. His partner, the firm was Greta Van Susteren husband. That's the firm he came out of. And I was co-counsel with him. And I left. Tree said, let's go. He said, this does not need to be your legacy. I said, Tree, I spent $100,000. He said, money, all money ain't good money. You know, we played dominoes too. I did a lot of civil rights cases. When the judge came, I was doing a case, Leo Edwards. If you read Batson, I helped put some footnotes in Batson. I was with Morris Dees, and I helped edit with legal defense firm with Lonnie Gwinnett. So I did a lot of civil rights. I just never really talk about it. Nobody else does. Because when I got these big verdicts, it was amazing, the attention I got. And I kept hitting them. And I kept hitting them. I had somebody here lead me away. Judge Graves sitting there. I was trying cases. I didn't know how to try a case for no money. I was in there one day, didn't know how to ask for money. He said, Dennis, if you can't say it, nobody in the back can say it. We were talking just casually. So I grew up around real men. They weren't scared. My dad used to go fishing with Mr. Evers and other things. So they inspired me as a kid. You understand, I was at home when Mr. Evers was killed. My dad and grandma were at the house. I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know why? Because African Americans couldn't get a postgraduate degree in Mississippi. So my mother had to go to Southern Baton Rouge to get her master's. So she had us down there. And you know, it was time to change. I remember when Daddy called her and she fell on the ground. She said, they killed Medgar, they killed Medgar. So I remember those things. So I did a lot of civil rights cases. I really don't talk about them. And I'm saying some of it now because Rena told Dennis, they really don't know what you did. You ought to tell some people sometime all the civil rights cases you did. I was with Morris Dees when her mother came over when they first started. I was the first African-American lawyer with the Southern Poverty Law Center. I was over there when her mother came over with Morris and they started trying to get prosecution going. Remember, she came over with him and I was there. So I'll tell you a little bit what I did. Everybody knows me for these verdicts. And they ain't got over it. I hit that verdict down there. They still ain't got over it. They changed the law. I was inspired by men. Her daddy, your daddy, they were real men. And they came in to take care of us little black kids. And they came in to help change the world for us little black boys. They changed it for me. Thank you.
Attorney Sweet, I have a follow-up question. Connie, Attorney Slaughter, I've got a follow-up question for Attorney Sweet.
Yeah.
You talked about the sort of the financial gains or the position you can place yourself in or placed yourself in through the practice of law, from getting those large verdicts and then being able to practice the civil rights, that often there is no payment there. And we know that Mr. Evers, time and time again, sacrificed his own financial stability and that of his family for the sake of the community. How does the legal profession serve as a necessary tool in what I call the intergenerational stability that Mr. Evers wanted for every family in this state? Or how could it, or how has it, in your opinion?
I think that I look at the young lady in Georgia who ran for office, raised all that money. You know what I'm talking about? She ran for governor.
Stacey Abrams.
Ton of money. After she got through running, she took that money and formed organizations to help register the vote, to do this, to do that. All right. When we win verdicts, we got to have money. The way I was able to do and be involved in the black farmers case, I could afford it. And so Carol knows he had to come all kind of ways to fund this litigation. You got to fund it. And so what we need to do is fund that. We need to get money together as lawyers and fund this Fair Street. It's a shame that is the cradle of the civil rights movement, and we can't seem to get it rebuilt in Jackson, Mississippi, in the name of Medgar Evers, where his first office was. I say Medgar Evers, Mr. Evers, I'm sorry. My mom would have slept. Still with him. She's 94, and she knew I came this morning, but I could not call him Medgar Evers. Myrlie Evers, oh, let me say that. And Mrs. Evers was also, my grandmother and folks were Vicksburg. Her mother was from Vicksburg. Daryl used to come over and play with us when, she'd bring him over and drop him. They all understood that we got to be able to fund this stuff. So us lawyers out here to make money on these cases and do things, we do need to get involved in helping them fund, especially Fair Street. We got to do something. You know what I mean? We got it. That's where it started. It wasn't a bunch of blues clubs. It wasn't juke joints. It was a business district for African Americans. And what is it? Doctors, lawyers. Mr. Sidney Redmond, he had 16. That's where they. Y'all think of how important, I'm not going to take it, so think of how important this is. In the 50s and 60s, where were black lawyers and whatever going to get offices? You wasn't going on Capitol Street. They built it right here on Fair Street. That's where we started. Where is Mr. Evers going to be safe? Where are you going to do? Fair Street. Until, what's his name, started spying on him with the advocate here in the movie. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying nigga, but he went over to the Masonic Temple. I mean, that's just what happened. So we need to be able to help fund this, whether it's businesses. Thank you for asking me that question. But yeah, we do. We bought the Big Apple Inn. Glad to have Gina there. Yeah. And we plan, my wife's back here. She's planning to try and do something. I bought my uncle's building, Britain. We're trying to do something for African American professionals. We need for niece Rena. She's been involved with Kim and trying to get that. We hope the Institute, once we could get it going, we need to fund these things. So I'm trying. And I appreciate you asking the question. All right?
Absolutely. It's the intergenerational financial stability that can help us maintain our legacies in our community.
I think Dean Bennett has given us a time signal. Right. Okay. So, all right, we'll wrap it up. This has been a great panel. A lot of personal insight that's been great. So thank each of you for being here and just lending your time and your history to this moment.
Absolutely. I also extend my thanks and, again, my honor being here. But hearing, we understand that Mr. Evers was denied entrance to the University of Mississippi School of Law because of his race. And they found the technicality so that it wouldn't seem so obvious. But we all know what the real reason was for him not entering the University of Mississippi. But I think as we look through the lives, through the experiences, through the legal practice of not only these esteemed attorneys on this panel, but also those across the state in the Magnolia Bar that continue to practice over the years. I think we see Mr. Evers, the legacy that he established, that he passed on. He was a cornerstone of what we do and where we are now. So thank you, Rena and your family. And also I would like to thank the Mississippi College School of Law for bestowing this degree that's so worthy. Thank you.
Well, I'm not quite sure of the transition, but I think we're ready now to move toward closing out, but we will hear from Rena Evers-Everett and Mrs. Myrlie Evers-Williams. So thank you. Rena?
This has been an amazing afternoon. My back was to you guys, but I have tissue all up here, okay? All of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you've touched my lives for many years, pulled my pigtails for many years, just called out my nickname, Niecy. Thank you. Thank you to our moderators who have been excellent. My family, if you would stand once again, because we love you so much. I'm so happy to see all of you. I wrote remarks. Miss Constance Slaughter Harvey, what can I say? Every time you talk about my daddy, boy, I think about how you said it to my mama, and my mother goes, yes. And he is. And I thank you. Oh, today, as we gather in reverence and gratitude, words can scarcely seem adequate to capture this very profound moment. But it's been said already by my wonderful cousins. On behalf of my family, my Evers family that you have seen here today, I'm humbled and deeply, deeply moved by this whole series of events, and the awarding of the Honorary Juris Doctor degree to my father, Medgar Wiley Evers. We thank you, I thank you, for honoring one of God's chosen children who was committed, as you heard, and deeply valued family, community, country. He understood and he honored his purpose in life. I'm going to just read you a prayer that he went by that my mother has talked about several times, and you might have heard a little bit of it. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. My father dedicated his life to dismantling barriers and forging paths toward freedom for all of us. And it's freedoms, some of those freedoms that we all walk right now. And if we are not diligent about registering, educating yourself on what to vote for, and then actually voting, things have already started to turn back. We need to keep them moving forward for better humanity. He inspired so many of us. I love all the stories. Dennis Sweet, stop pulling my pigtails. Attorney Rhodes, thank you so much. Constance Slaughter Harvey, you know where my heart is. And Judge Reeves, you knew him because you embody the spirit. Judge Graves, you've always been able to express
who he is, what he stood for, and where we need to go. Thank you. Alvino Castilla, Vangela Wade, you are him. And for those of you out there and listening right now, so are you. If you have any sense of being humble, making sure that injustice and equity is a constant and something that always goes on, you're part of him. There were several quotes that were done today, and I thank you for those. But I have one more. And he did this in 1959 in sunny Southern California at a convention of the NAACP. And he said, "We are confident that we will achieve victory, not through violence, but through the channels provided by the Constitution of the United States of America, through the courts, political action, and education. If we work with sufficient dedication, we will be able to achieve in the not too distant future a society in which no one is discriminated against because of race, creed, or color. Our faith is invested in the law that is over and above man-made laws. We are dedicated to the cause of freedom, and we will continue to fight under God's laws without fear of consequences." I have more to say, but time is of essence. And there's a person that is not physically with us here, but spiritually with us here, who says, "I might not be up and kicking, but I'm trying to kick high." And this is a quote from her, "and he is the love of my life." That is my mother, Myrlie Evers-Williams. And truly, my daughter and I just came from seeing her for Mother's Day. She's still saying, "Medgar, I love that man. And there's nothing you can do about it." So with that, I'm going to end by one other phrase and let her words come out. And that is, maybe it's telling me just end. You know when it's right, when you feel him. May his memory be a light that guides us. And may this degree serve as a reminder that we have to move on to freedom, but we have to work it. Freedom is never free. I want to thank the Mississippi College School of Law, my cousins, Dr. Carla and Carlos Evers, Chris Daniels, and so many others for making sure that this happened. But I have to thank a force of nature in this room. President Thompson, Dean Anderson, but the force of nature is Dean Emerita, Pat Bennett. Thank you. And there's two other ladies in the back, if you could just wave your hands, that have been just instrumental in getting this done. And this is Mary Evelyn and Lauren. And students, even though we're all students of life, hopefully you'll remember this moment. It'll inspire you. It will stay with you as it has with our panelists here. When there's times that are tough, when the going gets rough, you just remember, faith makes things possible, but not easy. Thank you.
We, the Evers family, are deeply honored and profoundly grateful for the posthumous awarding of the Honorary Doctor degree to Medgar Wiley Evers. This recognition not only commemorates Medgar's lifelong pursuit of justice, equality, and dignity for all, but also affirms the enduring impact of his legacy on the legal and civil rights communities. Medgar's unwavering courage and commitment to the fight for civil rights continue to inspire generations. He believed in the power of the law to transfer society, to open doors, and to make the world a more just and inclusive place. To see his dedication and sacrifice acknowledged in this distinguished manner fills us with immense pride and gratitude. We thank the Mississippi College School of Law, President Thompson, Dean Anderson, and the faculty for bestowing this honor. I would also like to thank my friends, Judge Graves Jr., Judge Reeves, and attorneys Slaughter, Hogan, Rhodes, Sweet, Wade, and Castilla for recognizing Medgar's contributions, which help ensure that his story, principles, and vision for justice and equality remain alive in the hearts and minds of future leaders. It is our hope that students and faculty alike will carry forward Medgar's example, championing integrity, courage, and compassion in their pursuit of justice. Our family is humbled by your remembrance and this prestigious degree. We are reminded once more that Medgar's legacy is not only our family's history, but also a vital part of the ongoing American journey toward freedom and equality. Thank you for honoring his memory and for helping keep his spirit alive. With sincere appreciation, Myrlie Evers-Williams.
again, I just want to thank all of you for being here today and being here to share this moment in history. We are so honored and humbled by this opportunity to celebrate him, Medgar Wiley Evers, and his life. I also want to thank our sponsors for this event, Balcham Bingham, the Green and Associates law firm, and the Magnolia Bar for making this happen. We're so grateful for them. And again, I would just reiterate my gratitude for Lauren Wells and Mary Evelyn Scott. They worked so hard to make today happen. And again, I agree, a force of nature is the best way to describe Dean Emerita Bennett. Just thank you so much for all you've done. So I hope we'll see many of you tonight at the celebration, but also at tomorrow's commencement ceremony where this degree will be awarded. Thank you. So it is fitting that we celebrate Medgar Wiley Evers today by bestowing upon him posthumously Doctor of Laws degree.